Well, hey there, Aletheia Church. I hope that you guys are doing well and enjoying gospel community. We started a new series in the book of Ruth this past Sunday, and I just want to spend a few minutes recapping my sermon for you in case you either weren't able to be there or have forgotten what we talked about. And so I said that really, in many ways, Ruth was going to be a study for us on just understanding suffering and loss and pain and heartache and where God is in the midst of all of that. And what we see in chapter 1 is really a lot of the backdrop to what we'll see throughout the rest of the book of Ruth. And so the book of Ruth starts off with just explaining to us kind of who the main characters are, especially this guy, Elimelech. And he is Naomi's husband. And Judah, the land that they're living in, goes through a period of famine, and so he runs off to the land of Moab. And Israel and Moab have a sordid history. There's a lot of problems in between those two places, and we talked about that quite a bit during the sermon. You guys will talk about that more tonight as well in group. But he runs off to Moab because he hears that there's food there. And when he arrives there with Naomi and his two sons, he dies. And after his death, his two sons marry Moabite women, and they take care of their mother, but eventually they die as well. And so you're brought pretty early on, about 5 verses into this really just sad and horrible moment in Naomi's life, where she is without family, she is without her countrymen, she is without her friends, and in many ways, she's even without God, because the God of the Moabites is different than her God. And so she's left with this really impossible decision of, what do I do? Do I stay in Moab with my two daughters, or do I go back to Israel and to my people? And so she chooses to go back to Israel and her people, but she tells her daughters to stay. She tells Orpah and Ruth to remain in Israel. And there's a number of reasons for that. You guys will talk about that as well. But Orpah chooses to stay, but Ruth chooses to go with her. And she throws herself at Naomi and says, "Your people will be my people. I will go where you will go. I will die where you die. And your God will be my God." And what we see there is just this beautiful moment where Ruth surrenders her control and her preferences to really put her faith and her trust in Naomi's God, and to trust in God. And what we said is that what really the book of Ruth ends up being is a story of redemption, and God's redemption of Naomi, God's redemption of Ruth, and his saving of Ruth, and how God really, even through the line of Ruth, saves us as well. And you guys will see that in future weeks ahead. But I hope you guys will spend some time tonight just talking about the themes of suffering that we talked about this past Sunday. I hope that you guys will talk about idols of control, and how they prevent us from surrendering to God and his sovereignty in our suffering. And I hope that you guys will talk about what it might practically look like to surrender and trust in God, and what that might look like for you if you do. I love you guys. I'm praying for you as you study the book of Ruth together, and over the next several weeks, what we'll be seeing as we study this together. Have a wonderful week. I love you. Go and be the church.